Okay, so now you can see in the photograph which I've shared, what is the effect of trend. Now tell me one thing, which is most smooth forecast, actual, actual of course compared to actual, the forecast with smoothing constant only, or with the trend corrected factor, which is, what is the effect of pink line? I mean, how does, if you compare pink line and the purple line, how do they compare with each other?
Sir, photo is not visible.
Now I've sent in the WhatsApp group. Check the WhatsApp group.
Yes, sir.
Which is the most representative of the two, the blue line or the pink line?
The pink one.
Pick one.
Why?
Pink one, sir.
What extra do you see over here?
So the data points are closer to the actual one.
What do you mean by closer? I mean, technically speaking, what does closer mean?
So like it is predicting the demand better, like as close as the demand actually was.
Now let's look at it a bit carefully. Um all of you look in the mobile phone which you have, and mm, purple line is slightly below the pink line. If you compare it with, let's say, first point, anyway, first point, as I've already told you, it lags by one period, the forecast. So when it is first, third point, look at the third point from the left, and for both the pink line and the blue line and the purple line, the third point from the left. So for blue line, that for the pink line, the third point from the left is at more or less similar level of 40, while the purple is slightly below than the pink one. So what does it mean? That the point corresponding to the third one is more closer to the actual one in the pink line as compared to that in the purple line. The same trend we see across the whole forecast. So that's what we mean by trend correction. It simply indicates that this forecast follows the trend more closely than the previous one. Okay. Now we talk about linear trend line. So linear trend line, all of you have already studied about this equation a lot earlier. Yes or no? Yeah, I think all of you know what this equation is. This your linear equation where A is an intercept and B is the slope. All of you know that. In this case, we say X is a time period. And Y is the corresponding forecast for that period. Now here, we are assuming two things. We are assuming that the forecast is dependent on certain factor related to the period. Okay, for example, temperature and ice cream. So ice cream is dependent on the temperature. So there is a relationship between the two variables. Okay, one is a dependent variable, another is an independent variable. Can you give more examples like this? Or
Clothes.
yeah,
Clothes.
clothes. Okay, So we say one thing, that your forecast is dependent on the time period. Okay, so here the basic assumption is that your forecast will be dependent on the period of the year. Okay, so now let's go ahead. And how do we calculate these constants A and B using the maximum likelihood or least squares method? We come to these values. So we are not going to derive how do we calculate A and B, but I'm just directly going to write the formula. Summation x square minus n x square, and then your B is y minus bx bar. You may write down this formula because we are going to use it ahead. So summation xy represents the individual points multiplied and then summed up, individual x and individual y corresponding to the period, and n is the total number of periods for which the forecast is being calculated, and x bar and y bar are the averages for x and y, that is the period and the forecast. And the summation x square, I mean, these things you already understand. So we can go ahead. Now I'm sending you a picture of the demand data, and we will be working on this demand data. So take this demand data. We've got 12 periods data with us, and the demand, actual demand in those periods is also given. So corresponding to period 1, it's that y is 37. That means January demand is 37. Um, then February demand is 40, and then the March demand is 41 units. Whatever example for whatever demand we can say, means it could be any product or something like that. Okay, so we keep on. Now, what do we do next? Can you calculate A and B value quickly? Can you quickly calculate A and B value? So I think you should take 5 to 7 minutes to do this calculation. How many of you are doing the calculations? Please raise hand. once you have done the calculation, put your A and B values in the chat box. If you have any doubts regarding calculations, you can ask. Okay, so tell me, what is X bar? What is the value of X bar? Yeah, okay. Two people have calculated, Karvi and Shubhangi. Good. So yeah, you're right. So let me just quickly write the values now. X bar is 6.5, Y bar is 46.42, B is summation xy minus n x bar y bar divided by summation x square minus n x bar square. So this value is coming out to be 1.72, and A is coming out to be 35.2. So we get the equation as y equal to A is 35.2 plus 1.72x. Now with this, what do we do with this equation? Now, if let's say we want to find out the forecast for period 13. Okay, we want to find out forecast for period 13, we can simply substitute the value over here of x as 13, and then correspondingly we can say that it is coming out as 57.56 units. Okay, and the trend, we're going to get a line like this. I'm just sending a photograph in the group. So this is how we can see the pink line which we have over here. This is how the pink line fits. Now we can clearly see that it does not follow the forecast exactly, but how how the values of A and B have been derived are totally based on the minimization of the error from the actual value. So this line is the best fitting line which is available. We call it as a best fit line. And here one assumption is there that the demand is linear. Okay. If the demand is non-linear, this kind of technique is not useful at all. Now we go ahead and we talk about seasonal adjustments or seasonality in the data. So how do we take care of the seasonality in the data? When there is a repetitive increase or decrease in the demand, we add one more factor, that is seasonality in it. So seasonal factor. Seasonal factor SI, which is given by DI by summation D. So we have to define in this case that what periods constitute a season. For example, January, February, and March may constitute winter season. March, April, and May, and June and July could constitute summer season. Monsoon could be August, September, and then October, November, December again winter. So we have to define the seasonality here before we go ahead. So you have to you have to have some knowledge about the seasons in the data for that. So let's say we have a data somewhat like this. Year 2002, 2003, and 2004. So 3 years data we have for each quarter. So each quarter is a 1, 2, 3, and fourth quarter data we have. And then we fill it with 12.6 over here. I mean, we write the values of each quarter. Then 14.1, 10.3. So for 3 years and 4 quarters, we have this data. Now we see that each quarter is representing a season. Okay. So if I have to find out S1, that is the seasonality index for quarter 1. Okay. So that would be total of this. That is, we say D1, D2, D3, and D4. This is, you can say D1, D2, D3, and D4, right? And summation D is the demand of all the, I mean, total demand of all the quarters. Okay, so what is the summation of the first column? What is the value of the first column quickly?
42.
Yeah, it's coming out to be 42. And can you sum up all the demand?
One 50.5.
It's, I think, different value. Anyone else?
Sir, 148.7.
Yeah, 148.7.
148.7.
So 148.7 is your summation of all the demand. So seasonality corrected factor is, or you can seasonality factor is 0.28. Similarly, find out S2, S3, and S4. Find out the value of S2, S3, and S4. Write the value in the chat box. Yukta, S1 we have already found out, that is 0.28.
Sorry, sir. That is value of S2. By mistake, I
Okay,
wrote
okay,
this.
okay, okay. So S2 is 0.2, S3 is 0.15, and S4 is 0.37. Now, once we get all these values, what do we do? The next thing that we have to do is we have to what do we want to do with this? We want to find out what will be the forecast for remaining next 4 quarters. Okay, we want to find out these things. Okay, now in order to find that, what do we need next is uh, sort of a regression line, or you can say the linear equation, which we have said earlier. We also call it as a regression or the trend line. So just like in the previous case we have found out, in this case also we can find out the line based on the past data. So this is the line which we'll get. Now I leave this onto you guys to calculate this value of this line. If you're not getting it, you talk to me later. So once we get this line uh, for 2005, we get this line. The next thing that we are going to do is uh, what will be the demand for 2005? So that means what will be the value of X? Can anyone tell what will be the value of X for 2005? What will be the value of X for 2005? Yes. See, what is the meaning of Y? Y means uh, deseasonalized demand. That means here we have not taken care of the season, just we have taken care of the trend. Okay. Now we need to incorporate seasonality in this demand by multiplying with the seasonal factor. So, but we need this value, the trend using the trend line on which we will impose the seasons. Okay. So how do I what is the value of X in this case? If we consider the past data, 2002 is the first year, 2003 is the second year, 2004 is the third year, and 2005 will be the fourth year. So we will substitute X equal to 4. Now when we substitute X equal to 4, we get the value as 15.17 units. Now, what does this value mean? It means that if there is no seasonality in the data, this is the forecast. So hence I need to, but see, there is a seasonality in the data. So we'll incorporate seasonality in this value of Y. We, uh, we, we multiply the forecast with the seasonality corrected factor. So seasonality corrected factor SF1 we say is S1 into F4, forecast 4 for the fourth year. SF2 will be S1, S2, F4. SF3 will be S3, F4. And SF4 will be S3, F4. Where F4 represents the demand for the fourth year, forecasted demand for the fourth year based on trend line. Okay. So we quickly get these values. So SF1 will be 0.28 multiplied with, what was that value? 58.17. So that value is coming out to be 16.28. SF2 will be 11.63. SF3 will be 8.73. And SF4 will be 21.53. You get that? So what does this indicate? This indicates seasonality incorporated demand.
Sir, how did we calculate SF4?
SF4 will be S4 value, that is what is the S4? 0.37 multiplied with 58.17. Just like how we have calculated SF2 and SF3 and SF1.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is another way of calculating the forecast. So in the forecasting chapter, what we have learned is we have done naive forecast. We have talked about moving average. We have talked about weighted moving average, WMA. Then we talked about exponential smoothing. Then we talked about trend corrected exponential smoothing. Then we talked about, after this, we talked about linear trend line. And after that, we talked about seasonality corrected linear trend line. So we have done 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 types of forecasting techniques. And we have also learned about how different values, I mean, if you're doing weighted moving average, what is the effect of that? If we are using only alpha and exponential smoothing, and if we are using alpha and beta, what is the effect of that? So smoothing also we understood. Now, after all this understanding, how do we find out which is the best forecast? Any ideas? Let's say on the same data, I applied all these techniques. Now, how do we say that, okay, this forecast is the best one? Any ideas?
So we can calculate the errors.
Very good. So there are again several different types of errors which we can calculate, which is MAD, mean absolute deviation, mean absolute deviation. We can calculate MAPD, mean absolute percent deviation, mean absolute percent deviation. We can calculate cumulative error. Okay, so let's say we take a problem. I mean, I'm going to give you this problem as an assignment where how do we find out? I'll just tell you how do we find out mean absolute deviation. So mean absolute deviation is we take the modulus of the difference between the forecast and the actual demand for certain periods divided by n. So this is the mean absolute deviation, and mean absolute percentage deviation would be summation dt minus ft by summation d. So it is percentage of the total demand. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to put summation over here. So that's how we can do that. So let's say for a given data, we apply these two errors, and then you can have cumulative error as another one. Cumulative error would be somewhat like this. Cumulative error is, as the name implies, you just sum up all the error with algebraic sign, and average error would be summation of the cumulative error divided by n. Now, can you tell me why do we take modulus in the previous one, mean absolute deviation or mean absolute percentage deviation? Why do we take modulus?
Forecast may be more than the demand, so avoiding the negative values.
Yeah, so in a way, if you take if you don't take modulus, there is a chance that the overall error, if you consider the algebraic sign, they may cancel out each other. So if they cancel out each other, your overall error may be lower than what it actually is, because sometimes it can be higher, sometimes it can be lower. Then your forecast can be lower or higher than your actual demand. So there's a possibility that your overall error, that is the cumulative error and the average error, may be lesser than what the error actually is. So that's why it is always advised to consider the absolute values. Okay, so now let's say this is the assignment which I'm specifying now. So type of technique I'm writing here, and then you're going to calculate MAD, you're going to calculate MAPD, then you're going to calculate cumulative error, then you're going to calculate average error for 3 techniques, 4 we'll say.
Sir, for cumulative error, the ET, is
Yeah.
it DT minus FT only like the
Yeah,
data?
dt minus ft with algebraic sign.
Okay.
So it will take alpha as 0.3 for the data which I have just sent you, the trend line data. For trend line data, you have to apply alpha equal to 0.3. You have to apply alpha equal to 0.5. You have to apply alpha equal to 0.3 and beta equal to 0.5 and linear trend LTL, linear trend line. You have to calculate all these values. Okay. So then find out which is the best technique in these four. So this is your assignment and I'm going to create that assignment right now. Meanwhile, I'm giving you the quiz now, and that there are 20 questions this time in the quiz. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do that. So 9:55 I will close the quiz. Okay, I'm just sending now.